Okay, blessings all. Thank you so much for being here. Today is a mantra and Sanskrit prayer kind of meditation class. We've been doing this series on Wednesday that's around the topic of healing trauma and Ayurvedic psychology and just overall emotional well-being. So this topic today really lends itself to those intentions as well. And we're going to start and end today's session with a little bit of a breathwork practice, some of the breathwork practices that we've been doing together each week for those of you who have been coming. But for those of you who are just joining in, they'll be still very easy practices to follow along with. And then in the middle section, the main section of our class today, we're going to cover it's a little bit of an ambitious goal, but I really wanted to cover these three slightly longer form Sanskrit prayers. These are very universal prayers. They're not based necessarily in a religion. So whatever faith and whatever unique way that you connect with the divine, you can use these prayers to connect with the way that you connect with God, with the universe, with source, with your creator. And mainly these three prayers are really, really special to help lift the fog of heaviness, fatigue, trauma from the body and orient us, basically lead us from that which holds us back from knowing God, knowing the divine in our life right now. Like they're kind of bridges to heaven on earth, if you will, because in one way you can think of heaven as a state of mind, because if we're oversensitive, hypersensitive, hyperreactive, unhealthy in our body, or just having a hard time mentally, emotionally, we basically in our lifetime creates a very challenging experience. So it's like going through hell on earth, but we can actually invoke that connection to heaven in the now. So bridging heaven on earth, if you will. Maybe some people wouldn't like that language, but whenever you see a baby smile, or that first brush of touching hands with your beloved, or when your child was born, or when you see a beautiful flower, or when you see the little baby ducklings on the river. Right now it's the spring where I live, so all the tiny little baby ducklings are here. And so whenever we see this fresh moment of life, we have a taste, a glimpse of heaven. And so part of the practice of yoga, which is simply a term that means uniting with the divine inside of your heart, inside of your being now, yoga, and really the greater purpose of Ayurveda, the system of medicine that helps us heal our bodies and return to wholeness. Both of these systems are actually about transcending the suffering of physical existence and connecting with that which is limitless, the creative energies, which are our creator, that are eternal, the aspect of our being that's actually eternal and eternally peaceful and all pervasive in all aspects of life. So these three prayers, the first prayer is a universal prayer to help lift that fog, to help move us from the limitations of our mind and our psyche, and the limitations even that trauma has imposed. And it helps us lift from those and connect with a higher power, with a greater force of energy. And then the second prayer helps us reconnect with that essence of wholeness. And we'll talk about them each one in more detail, but I'm kind of just do a little overview. And then the third one is a very sweet, intimate prayer that you can use just with your beloved creator, with the universe, in a way that really brings it into a deep personal connection in your heart. So these are the three that we'll do today. And Anne Catherine says this is so much needed today. And Corey's been doing yoga every week. I know that that's a new practice for you, Corey. So that's so wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. And even Izzy, I just saw Isabel joined live. I'm so happy to see you, Izzy. And Julia, welcome. And Rushi, there you are. Good evening, Rushi. I know she's in India, so she's winding down for bed right now. So yay. So that's just a quick, brief overview of what we'll cover today. And let's dive right in. So just taking a moment to tune into your breath and to feel your body grounded in whatever seat you are sitting in. And just take a few deep breaths, maybe in through your nose, out through your mouth, just maybe taking some of the first, biggest, fullest, deepest breaths you have today. And as you do that, in every exhale that gushes through you, just feel yourself melt a little bit more relaxed into that seat beneath you. Good. And if you haven't already, make that exhale an audible sound. Use like a little bit of voice and sound to really let it go. And one more. Beautiful. And now bringing one hand up to your chest and one down to your lower belly. You can do this while lying down too. But just start to feel your chest becomes relaxed and your lower belly is the only part of your torso right now that's moving. So as you inhale, you should feel your stomach move away from your spine and get really soft and relaxed. And as you exhale, it moves towards the spine. The hand goes closer towards your spine and everything draws in. So chest is relaxed. Inhale, belly expands out. Exhale, everything contracts towards the center. Inhale, expand. And exhale, contract in. Maybe if you want to count, it's like a 3 to 4 count on each side. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Stretch the whole abdomen's relaxed. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Do a few more of these at your own pace, just making sure they're nice and slow and relaxed. And if your breath wants to move slower, that's totally fine. Good. So we're going to continue this with the lower belly relaxing and expanding, but we're also going to expand into the ribs as the second part. So this is a 3-part breath now. So we'll inhale into the belly and then the lower ribs, the rib cage starts to open and move. And then the chest. So it's essentially like filling a pitcher of water. As you fill the pitcher of water, it fills from bottom to top. And then as you pour it out, it empties from top to bottom. So start to feel that in your own body as you inhale, belly, ribs, and finally chest. The chest just has a little bit of movement at the top. And then you exhale, chest, and then the ribs come in, and then the belly empties. And then inhaling belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly. Good job. Do a few more of these at your own pace or with my guidance. Inhaling, belly, ribs, chest. Exhaling, chest, ribs, belly. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhaling, chest, ribs, belly. One more on your own. And always, if at any point you feel a little lightheaded because you're just not used to breathing this deep, you can always return your breath to normal and then join back in. Okay, beautiful. So from here, we'll transition into the humming practice, the humming breath and the mantra breath. So this is the foundation. Some people find that 3-part breath is more than enough. And maybe if you find that you're a reverse breather, some people breathe more into their chest than into their belly. So if you find that's the case and this practice was challenging enough or feels like a good, just a supportive practice for you today, for any reason whatsoever, you can continue with it. Otherwise, we'll progress to the next practice, which for those of you who know the more advanced forms of it, you're welcome to do it, but I'm going to guide it as the most basic form. And Anne says that this deep breathing is making her yawn, and that's very common. So just if you feel the urge to yawn, make sure you yawn and then keep going, but never suppress those bodily urges to cough, to sneeze, to yawn. It's actually very important that you always let those energies move. So the next one, you're going to still fill up belly, ribs, and chest, but when you exhale, you're just going to exhale with a humming sound. So you're going to make the longest humming sound possible. And we'll just do 3 rounds of that. So we're going to inhale, belly, ribs, and chest. And exhale with a hum, long, slow hum, 3 times. Mm. 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 Pause for a moment to just observe. Notice your energy, notice your body. Notice the effect the humming created. Great. And then the third and final breath work practice today is a mantra breath that we've been doing together. Again, if you know the advanced version of this, because we've practiced it together before, you're welcome to do that. Otherwise, I'll guide the foundational version. And this breath has 3 sounds. Ha, which originates from down kind of in your solar plexus. Ha, Ri, or Ri, which moves the energy up the spine, and Om, which circulates it through the whole head and beyond. Hari Om. It's a very beautiful way to connect with the divine energies in your own body. So we'll just do 3 Hari Om breaths together. So continuing to inhale the 3-part breath, and then you'll just exhale with the sounds Hari Om as long as you can make, for the longest length that you can make that sound. So exhaling all the air out and inhaling through the belly, ribs, and chest, and exhale with Hari Om 3 times. Hari and pause to notice the effect. Our meditation poem contemplation for today is this: you are stunned, powerless. You thought you knew what was going on. Now you realize you don't have a clue. You are stopped in your tracks. Everything within your skin is shaking. Enter this shaking. Get curious. Look around inside with wonder. Unmind your mind. All the walls have fallen down. Go ahead and dissolve. The one who has always been, who has seen much worse than this, is still here. Again, this poem is from the Radiant Sutras that we've been reading out of each week. And each poem is translation of a Sanskrit verse that's a contemplation and an entire meditation in itself. So I thought that this was a beautiful prompting for today. I'll read it again at the end as well, particularly because this very first prayer is one that I have personally used many, many times when I was overcome with emotional pain. So in the times of the greatest darkness. And it has helped me tremendously connect with my inner guidance, connect with the divine light, if you will, connect with some type of clarity that lifted me out of the fog of the confusion. And one of the things that this particular verse and poem is reflecting on is just, or is helping us contemplate into, is that usually when we feel this fear or the grip that trauma has over our nervous system, or being a highly sensitive empath, or whatever you identify with, that grip of reactivity and intensity of emotion can often lead us to want to run away from it. Either run away from it or lean into it and try to do some kind of emotional release process to get rid of it, right? But either way, you're engaging with the on the level of the emotion itself. So, which isn't necessarily anything wrong with that. It's just one way of looking at it, but they're two sides of the same coin. Either I head on straight into this feeling, and which sometimes that emotion can completely hijack your whole system, or I run away from it, I avoid it, I numb myself from it. This poem is actually suggesting, get curious about the essence beneath the emotion. Get present to the sensation itself without overly identifying with the source of the sensation. Go beneath it. Not the source of the sensation, meaning the emotion, but actually get curious, look inside with wonder, dissolve. And on the other side of that emotional experience, or that intensity, or that grip of fear, is the one who has always been, the eternal source of energy that has created this and manifested this entire universe, this entire existence. And that is with you. So I've found that experience to be true after this first prayer. Like, I've experienced this time and time again after this first prayer. And so I'm going to share my screen with you. And Anne Catherine asked, why is that so? I think you may have been referring to, I'll answer these two questions real quick before we transition, but Anne asks, why is this so? Why does that breathing practice make you yawn, is what I'm assuming you're asking about. Or you're asking, why are you not supposed to suppress your urges? Because that's what we talked about in that section. So I can answer both of those really briefly. But one is just, energy moves when you start to breathe deep. The yawns help the energy get to where it needs to go. Constricted parts of your pranic channels, the nadi system, which is similar to the meridian system in Chinese medicine. When you do pranayama, it's like doing, in some ways, it's like starting to do your own self acupressure, in the sense that you dilate the channels and help the energy, that the vital energy and life force, move through your whole system. So if you haven't been doing those kinds of practices, and then you start doing them, breathing deep and moving the prana and the energy into those different areas, well, you start to yawn because your body's like, oh, I'm not used to this. It's almost like a yawn of relief, a sigh of relief. Or it's like a influx of more prana into the certain area. So you don't want to constrict that. And then secondarily, if you were asking, why is it so, not to suppress your bodily urges, there's a whole section in the ancient texts of Ayurveda that says, if you suppress your yawns, if you suppress your coughs, if you suppress your sneezes and other bodily urges, the urge to to pass gas, the urge to eliminate. If you suppress these urges, and it goes through very detail, but it actually creates dis-ease and imbalances in the body, because it creates a retrograde wind in the system, which constricts all the channels, and disease can happen in the body. So just a quick aside on that. So if that's what you're asking, Anne, I hope that answers your question. And then Anne also asked, how is it that Hari Om is energetically located in the said body parts? So what I was saying is not that Hari Om is located in your body, but chanting that mantra moves the energy from those places, circulate through. So just think of when you make the sound ha. Go ahead and do it right now. Ha, ha, ha. What part of your body do you feel? Ha, ha, ha. It starts down there. It's just how you make the sound. Ha, re, say re. Where do you feel re ringing and resonating? Re. You kind of feel it in your sternum. It moves. That's how it moves up the spine. So ha, your belly makes the sound, makes the movement. Energy moves from there. Re moves it up. And om, if you actually chant om in its full three sounds, A, U, M. Yes, I see, Claudia, I see you doing it. Om, totally. So there's three sounds of om. And in previous classes, we've gone in more detail into each of this. Good to see you, Arsha. Happy to see you here live. Hi, love. And so om is actually three sounds. So you want to open your jaw as much as possible. And the first sound is ah, which kind of originates towards the back of the head. Ah. And then ooh brings it towards the middle, from the back to the front. Ow, and then is at the front. So it makes this circular. So Anne, that question can be answered actually by you practicing it and feeling where the energy moves in your body. That's just how you have to make the sounds, and that's how it helps the energy circulate. So thank you for your questions. Very good question. She says, thank you. Okay, awesome. So let me share my screen with you, and let's go into this first prayer, and hopefully it still shows you my video. Yeah, I think it does. So this very first one, some of you may be familiar with. It's lesser known, a less common one, but it's pronounced Om Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya, Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So there's a very beautiful prayer, and just for those of you who want a resource to go back to, this website greenmessage.org has lots of lovely translations for, and it's nice that they break it down by each word in Sanskrit. So if you don't read the Devanagari, which is the Sanskrit script, it might be a little bit harder, but it'll still, if you click it, it'll show you some of the breakdown, which is really nice. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to give you kind of the general overview of this prayer, and then we're just going to chant it together so that you can experience it for a few minutes, and then we'll go to the next one. So this one, so Om is that primordial sound, that sound of all creation. So like we just broke down because of Anne's beautiful question, ah, oo, Those three sounds of Om are actually totality of all of existence broken up into three sounds. And it's birth, the sustenance of life, and death all in one sound. So Aum or Om is the sound of the cycles of all of life that pervade all of existence. All of existence goes through these cycles. And Om is just a primordial seed sound. When the seers in the ancient Himalayan mountains perceived the essence of life, it came down to this basic sound, the hum of all creation, which is Om. And then Sat. So the word in Sanskrit, Sat, which you'll see here as Sat and Sad, they both are refer back to the root of Sat, and Sat means truth, or that which is real. And that which is real in the spiritual sense is the only thing that's actually real is the eternal energy, the divine existence. That which is real is Sat, which is a higher truth or higher power. And that which is unreal is this temporary existence, because we know that we go beyond these physical forms. And so what is unreal is asat. So in Sanskrit, when there's an A in front of a word, it's a negation of the word. So in this prayer, you'll see the first line is Om Asat, Asato Ma Sadgamaya. So Gamaya is referring to the lead. So you'll see Gamaya is in every one of those 3 lines. And it's essentially, we can translate it, if it's our prayer to the divine, we're saying, Lord, God, universe, please lead me or lead us from that which is unreal, that which is limited, that which is temporary, to that which is real and true and pure. Lead me to the light of spiritual wholeness, spiritual truth. So Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya is Om, Lord, lead me away from the world of unreality and help me go towards you, towards what is real, towards the eternal self. Simply said, lead us from unreal to real. You'll hear that in most translations, but this just breaks it down a little more detail. Tamas soma jyotirgamaya. Tamas is the principle of inertia, our ignorance, the darkness. It's the shadow aspects. So tamas is all that we are ignorant to. It's everything that exists in our blind spot. And jyoti is the light. So the second line means tamas soma jyotir gamaya. Lead us, lead me, lead us from the darkness of the bounds of my own ignorance to the greater divine spiritual light and spiritual truth. So we have tamasoma jyotir gamaya. So I'll break down the whole, we'll go through the meaning and then we'll do it kind of call and response so you can practice the pronunciation. And then the third line, mrityor, mrit, the root mrit means death. And what this is referring to, and then the root amrit. So remember we said an A in front of a word is the negation. So mrityor refers to death. Amrit is the negation of that, means immortality or eternality. That is that which is delivering me from death. And amrit also means nectar. It is the source, the supreme source of life. So mrityor ma amritam gamaya, lead me not from the world, like lead me from the fear of death. Lead me from this limited material nature into the beautiful immortality, the source of very life itself, the source of life. So this says, keep me not in the world of mortality, but make me go towards the world of immortality or self-realization. And then Om Shanti. Shanti means peace. So Om Asatoma Sadgamaya. So go ahead and share and repeat that one. Say that one with me. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya. Tamaso ma jyotir gamaya. Tamaso ma jyotir gamaya. And one more time. Tamaso ma Jyotir Gamaya. Mrityor. I know that one's unique for us English speakers. Mrit. Mrit. You can imagine that there's a little I after the R, if that makes it easier for you to pronounce. Mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So you'll have it'll be a lot easier to pronounce once you're singing, believe it or not. It's much easier. Now that I'm in share screen, I don't know how to see the comments. So I hope no one's asking me any questions. Oh yeah, here it is, chat. Okay, no problem. No problem. Okay, we're good. So let's chant this one together. And really, with these universal prayers, it's beautiful to dive into the Sanskrit and to learn a little bit about the meanings, because the meanings are endless in terms of if you're actually translating. Each Sanskrit word has usually dozens of English descriptors that try to point to the essence of what this beautiful word really means, but we call it like unpacking. So you can unpack a sutra, this little thread of wisdom, for hours, days, weeks, years, lifetimes, truly. So my teacher, Dr. Ladd, whenever, like, he would teach for hours and hours and hours on one little nugget of a little packed little morsel of Sanskrit. So the beauty happens. So for this class, it's like I give you a little bit of an insight, and really it's revealed as you practice it yourself. So as you chant this, especially out loud, when your voice makes the sound vibration and you hear it and you feel it and you receive it back. So it's like, this is where the meaning becomes deeper for you in a vibrational kind of essence level. So today's class will cover them in brief, but I would really encourage you to go back to these and practice them. And I'll have the recording so you can re-listen to this, but you're also welcome to, when you re-listen to this, or now, like if you want to make a little voice recorder on your phone and just get a little snippet, you're welcome to do that. Or once you get it, you sing yourself and just voice record it so you have a quick access to it when you practice it, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'll sing it. I'm going to sing it a bunch of times, and I'll sing it once just so you can hear it. We'll do it like call and response to give you a little moment to try to get it. And then I'm just going to keep singing it, and you'll find your way through it. And then we'll take a moment to just observe. Okay, so this one, there's lots of different melodies, of course, but this is the one that I typically sing. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. And then at the very end, we'll sing Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So the melody is very similar each line. So let's sing the first line twice, and then let's do the first line a few times until you all feel pretty good. And you can give me a little thumbs up in the video if you feel like, okay, this is pretty good. So let's do the first line. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya. 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 Beautiful. Let's go to the next line. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. 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 Let's put lines 1 and 2 together. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. 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 Third line. Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. 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 Let's add them all together. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. One more time. Om asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So that was the first chant, first prayer. May it continue to support your connection with the divine and clarity and truth seeking. I hope I wasn't too overzealous with trying to teach you guys 3, but we're going to move probably a little more quickly through. The next one is a repetition of a lot of the same sounds and words. Isabella says she loves it. And Mehar, you've been doing this every day. That's so amazing. Arshia loves this chant. That's so cool. I saw you drop right into it. I was like, oh, she knows this one. That's great. So this one's beautiful. My teacher, Dr. Vasant Lad, used to refer to this one often. It's Om Purnamada Purnamidam. Purna is referring to the wholeness and the fullness of life, of divine consciousness. That this prayer is referring to, we are emanations of the divine effulgence, this brilliant light that is whole and complete, perfectly whole and complete in and of itself. And we are emanations from it that are also whole and complete. And in the same way that a drop of water, you take a drop of water out of the ocean, that drop of water is whole and complete unto itself. It's not any different from the ocean. It's an emanation from the ocean. So it is the entire ocean in one drop. And I'm going to read another translation in addition to the one that you have here. Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. You can find some beautiful melodies on YouTube and Spotify for this, but we'll do a very simple one. But this translation from this text says, the entirety of the Godhead, the entirety of the divine is perfect and complete. And because God is perfect and complete, all emanations that come from the divine, that come from God, as is us and every bit of this material world, every being, is also whole and complete, perfectly equipped as complete wholes. So we are perfectly equipped. We have access to the divine within us at all times, and we are whole and complete inside of ourselves. We are spiritually whole and complete always. The only part of us that thinks it's separate and that has forgotten is our smaller self, our ego, the aspects of our mind that, and if there was trauma, especially those imprints of trauma keep us feeling separate. But it's not the eternal truth. It's not the higher truth. We are perfectly whole and complete in all ways. So, and then this third part of this prayer says, even though these whole and complete units emanate from the one, nothing is ever taken away. So even though these whole complete units emanate from the divine, it never can take away from this source. It's always full, whole, and complete. There's so much more we could teach on this prayer, but let's just sing it, because the beauty comes from this as a practice in terms of remembering your wholeness. And if you've ever had experienced trauma or have, emotional, just repressed emotions, or just you come up with these different parts of yourself, these different parts of our psyche, our inner child that has pain, or different aspects of ourself and our psyche get frozen in time, that have endured traumatic events or hard challenges. And the beauty here is not to, with this prayer, for me, is that the idea is not to pretend that that pain doesn't exist. It's not to bypass the emotions and the challenges of our human selves, but rather you sing this prayer as if the divine mother singing to her child. You hold yourself, you hold your inner child, you hold these parts of you that have been hurt, and you sing this song. And it's not to negate what they're feeling, but it's just a soothing thing. Just remember who you really are. Remember who you really are, little one. So this is one of the ways you can utilize this prayer in practice for the deeper inner healing. Okay, and I will, that's a beautiful question. I'm going to answer that at the very end of the three, covering the three. So this one, as you can see, it's also a Shanti prayer, a peace prayer. But I'm just thinking, yeah, let's break it down a little bit, and then I'm just going to go into singing it because it's fairly repetitive. And then Julia, I also see a question popped in. So, okay, I will answer that at the end as well after we do the prayers. So thank you for asking questions while they're fresh in your mind. Okay. So the first line, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. So very simple melody, as you can see. So let's do the first line again. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. Just realized I don't know how big this is showing on your screen, and that I could make it a lot bigger for you. Sorry, I see you leaning into the computer. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope they can see this. Okay, hopefully that helps. So we're just on this line here. Let's do the first one again, and then we'll move on. Om Purnamadam. Sorry, I messed up. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. So just so you know, in Sanskrit, whenever you see a C by itself, it's always pronounced cha, almost like the English CH. So this is, sometimes people will write it like that, but this is pronounced cha, udachyate. Let's go to the second line. Purnasya Purnamadaya. Let's just do that part. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnasya Purnamadaya. So let's just add that first half of the second line to the first line. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. So we'll just add that last part now. Let's just do the whole second line. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. So that last eva avashishyate, you can connect the two a sounds to make just a longer ah sound. Purnameva vashishyate. It just makes the chanting and the singing of it a little more fluid. So let's do the second line again, and then we'll add them all together. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Let's do both lines together. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I love seeing your little ones here with us running around, Mehar. Sending you loves. Okay, so the Om Shanti at the end is very simple. So we'll do all three lines, and I'll just do it continuously, and you can keep learning the melody. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. One final time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Just take a moment to observe. Truly, the two that we covered already are just contain so much fullness within them. First, lead me from unreal to real, lead me from darkness to light, lead me to fear into faith and eternal wholeness. Peace, peace, peace. Then I am whole, you are whole, we are whole, everything is whole. I'm an emanation of the divine wholeness. I am whole and complete unto myself, and nothing takes away from the divine wholeness and completion. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So now this third one is just truly the sweetest. It really brings such an intimate connection with the divine. And this is the Twameva prayer. And Twameva means you truly are. So this is you praying, chanting, singing directly to your God, directly to your personal relationship with the divine. And this is saying, you truly are my mother, Mata. You truly are my father, Pita. You truly are my relative. We are kin. We are one. We are the same family. You truly are my friend. Twameva Bandush Chasaka Twameva. You really are my knowledge, Vidya. And Dravinam, you are the source. You are my true wealth. The physical money of this world means nothing without you. All the money in the world cannot fulfill the connection that I have with you. You are my true wealth. I am only wealthy because of you. So it means all of these things. You are my knowledge. You are the source of all knowledge, and you are the source of wealth, and you are the true wealth. And then Twameva Sarvam. Sarvam means all, the entirety of all. Let's see, Sarvam. I thought it would have a little bit more than that. Vidya, Dravinam, Bandhu, kindred, kin, Saka. Yeah. You truly are my all. You truly are my all. You are everything. Mama, it means my. So Mama Priya, my beloved God. Mama Deva Deva, you are my God of God. So you are truly my all. So the sweetest, sweetest intimate prayer to sing to the divine, again, in whatever way you most authentically and uniquely connect with the divine. Anne asked, I think this is about the last prayer, the Purnamada. She said the rhythm or the meter of the chant isn't quite clear. I think if you're referring to the last one, it's because there wasn't a meter. I wasn't singing it like you would sing it musically, like in a kirtan or something. I was just chanting it open form. So it didn't have a meter. So if that's why it wasn't clear, that's because it didn't have a meter. The Asatoma Sadgamaya had a little bit more of a meter because that's one that has the melody I sang had a little bit more. And this Twameva prayer should have a little bit more of a meter. So we can sing that one together. Maybe this one will be more clear. So I'll share it once. It's nice because it's repetitive again, Twameva, Twameva, Twameva. And there's just a few other little words that we add in there. So it sounds like this. Tvameva mata chapita tvameva tvameva bandhushcha sakha tvameva tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. So I might sing it a little bit lower just to accommodate, but you don't have to sing it at the same pitch as me because you're in your own home. It's not like we're in a room together. I wish we were in a room together and I can hear all your beautiful voices. But I'll break it down very simply. So the third line goes a little bit higher, but otherwise the other lines are a little bit lower. So let's just break down the first line. Tvameva mata, tvameva mata, chapita tvameva, chapita tvameva. So the whole first line together. Tvameva mata, chapita tvameva, tvameva mata, chapita tvameva. One more time on the first line. Tvameva mata, chapita tvameva. Then the second line. Tvameva bandhushcha sakha tvameva. Tvameva bandhushcha sakha tvameva. Tvameva bandhushcha sakha tvameva. Tvameva bandhushcha sakha tvameva. So let's do the first and second line together now. Tvameva mata, chapita tvameva, tvameva bandhushcha sakha tvameva. Tvameva mata, chapita tvameva, tvameva bandhushcha sakha tvameva. How are you guys feeling? Claudia, I love seeing you do the hands with me. You must have some kind of connection to music, learning verbally like that or orally like that. Does that help? No? If you're just following me. It's so funny to try to teach chants like this in a virtual setting because like I don't have the feedback from everyone. So I'm kind of just going on like what I can read in the screen, which is not much because I can't hear you. But I hope my pace is okay, however. So let's do the first two lines again, and then I'll sing into the third line so you can hear. Mehar, how do you put a heart on your screen? Did you put a heart there? How did you do that? Claudia says, you're just copying me, okay? I was like, wow, we've got a musician in the house. I'm like, I'm not usually doing this because I'm usually playing the harmonium. But I know some of my friends who lead song circles, they do this, and the visual really helps if you don't have an instrument. And we're just doing this, a cappella. So it helps. I'm trying to show it. So anyhow, let's do it again. First 2 lines. Okay. Tvameva mata chapita tvameva tvameva bandhushcha sakha tvameva tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva. So now we'll just do the 3rd line. Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva. Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva. And then the last line comes down again. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. So let's do lines 3 and 4. Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. One more. Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. So I'm going to sing, let's sing the whole thing all together, and we'll put it all together and do it a few times in a row. Tvameva mata chapita tvameva. Tvameva bandhushcha sakha tvameva. Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Tvameva mata chapita tvameva. Tvameva bandhushcha sakha tvameva. Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Tvameva mata chapita tvameva. Tvameva bandhushcha sakha tvameva. Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. One more time all the way through, and then we'll repeat the last line twice. Tvameva mata Chapita Tvameva, Tvameva Bandhu Chasaka Tvameva, Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva, Tvameva Sarva Mama Deva Deva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Oh, this one just brings me to tears so often. It's just the sweetest, especially after going through each of those lines and then just the last line. Oh, you truly are my all. You truly are my all. What a beautiful prayer. So there we have your 3 long form, universal Sanskrit prayer practices. They go so much deeper than what I could do justice in a short moment. And my prayer is that I honored the tradition and carried it forth in a way that was meaningful and for each of you, but also honoring the lineage that taught me these. So I'm so, so grateful to all my teachers and guides that have shared this wisdom with me as I pass it to you. So blessings and thank you. And quick recap. So let's sing all of them once through. Once through or twice through each? Twice. Just because already the first one feels so long ago, it might be good to just do it twice, because then you're like, oh, what was that melody again? So let's go through each one more time. Just come more from your heart than what you care about how it sounds. Don't care about how it sounds, or even if your melody ends up being different than mine, just let it go. Let it just come from your heart purely. Okay, just from your heart. So this first one, oh Lord, lead me from unreal to real, from darkness to light, from fear into your eternal wholeness. Om, peace, peace, peace. And then Om Purnamada. Whole is whole. I'm an emanation of the whole, and just remembering that wholeness. And then the third one, Tvameva, you really are my everything, is essentially what we're saying in each one. So let us begin. Full deep inhale. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritam Gamaya. One more. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Purnamada Purnam idam Purnat Purnam udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam eva vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Spandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. When you are stunned and powerless, and you thought you knew what was going on, then you realize you don't have a clue. When you are stopped in your tracks and everything within your skin is shaking, enter this shaking. Get curious. Look around inside with wonder. Unmind your mind. All the walls have fallen down. Go ahead and dissolve. The one who has always been, who has seen much worse than this, is still here. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Such a beautiful, beautiful prayer session. Thank you for requesting this topic. This was so wonderful to do with all of you. My only wish is that we were sitting in the same room together, chanting these prayers around a fire in nature. I'm going to wrap up with your questions and make sure all your questions are answered. So if you have anything else before we wrap up for today, please type it in the chat. And Isabel asked, would you be kind enough to email us these 3 prayers? Oh, Kaylee asked. And yes, I would be happy to do that. I will send those. And I was even thinking at some point when we were singing that I might even record a voice memo, because I could send you some like different artists that have recorded some of them, but I don't know if I could find the melodies that I just did. I'm not quite sure where I got all of them. So if I can find some beautiful version, I'll send you a link. Otherwise, if you want it, unless you already all have enough just from doing this, maybe I'll record a short little MP3 and send it in the email. Is that something that would be helpful? Just give a little thumbs up if so. If not, it's okay. Yeah. Yeah. And some of you know it already, so you might not need it. So it's okay if it's not helpful, but even if I see thumbs ups in the chat. Okay, cool. Great. So yeah, I'll do that. I'll send that to you guys. I'll write out the chants and the links to the actually, let me put those in the chat box right now. I can give you all three of the words and the translations, the links straight to them here in the chat box. These are the ones that I just shared my screen. And then I'll also put them in the email. And for those of you who are watching this recording and aren't on the email list, you can get access to those. You can email me at hello@alicialyndiaz.com. I'll also probably post it in the description below the video recording, so it should be there. And then you can also sign up for these workshops at alicialyndiaz.com, and then click the button that says trauma healing workshops. And basically not every single workshop is about trauma healing, but I do like to share useful practices that all tie back into regulating the nervous system, promoting emotional well-being. We dive into topics like Ayurvedic psychology and healing trauma and nervous system sensitivity and all of that. So for those of you listening to this recording, because I know all of you who are here live are already part of that email group. And so for those of you who need it, you can get access that way. So I'm just getting the other links for you right here. Here's the second one. So here's Purnamada. And then you can open these tabs and like save those bookmarks on your browser. And I'll put them in the email too. Oh, thank you, Carolina. Carolina said this was incredibly beautiful. Thank you, heart. My pleasure. Thank you, Kaylee. Oh, Mihar, thank you for sharing these. So beautiful. I felt so therapeutic. I don't know why the tears started. I cry all the time singing these. I'm surprised I didn't fully cry today, but you never know. It's the waves of grace. Like when you just feel it. That's the beautiful thing about these, like the Sanskrit language too, is that this is why it's so hard to translate it into English, because it's a vibrational language. So it helps you, that vibration helps you remember it like in your bones, in your body. And so that those authentic tears that come are just, to me, it's just like it's seeping in that remembrance on the cellular level. It's so beautiful. Mehar also asked, do you have certain times that you chant these? I personally like to chant them in the morning. Just in general, I like to always have a practice as soon as possible to when I get out of bed. So I usually like wake up early, like with the sunrise or not too much later, drink a bunch of warm water, go to the bathroom, do some hygiene things, and then go straight to my altar, light a candle, light some incense, and like drop into prayer and do some of the singing. It's kind of like no matter what your sleep cycle is, you can roll out of bed and into devotion. As one of my very sweet clients said years ago, she said her intention is to roll out of bed and into devotion. So she just set up her morning that even if she only did a couple minutes, even if she didn't go to the bathroom first or do anything, she would just roll out of bed, and she had like a little altar and mat, like rug right on, like next to her bed. And she's like, I'm going to roll out of bed and into devotion, just because most likely she was going to come back to her mat or her, prayer area. When I say mat, like yoga mat, she's like, I knew if I just roll out of bed and into devotion that I would orient my day towards that. And then she would go do some other things and then she'd come back. So for me, and I would also encourage all of you to allow that to support that being a primary thing in your day, first thing, even if it's short. And then as if you tie that back into healing, if there's any childhood imprints or childhood traumas that you want to help rewrite, doing it early in the morning, these prayer practices early in the morning actually help to start rewrite those early childhood experiences. It's very, very powerful. So good question. There was a couple other questions, just going to go back. Oh yeah, Kaylee also asked for the recording. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, here's the other two questions. So Julia had asked, so beautiful and deep, thank you. Love your way of explaining. I'm so happy that you feel that way, Julia. I love your little prayer hands and heart. She said, my only issue is that my voice keeps breaking away when I try to make the longer sounds and have a hard time not to get annoyed by it. Any advice? Okay, great question. Yeah, for that, you can just make the notes shorter. I tend to sing long and drawn out. That's just like, I like feeling that vibration and like feeling the vibration like inside of me and all around me. And also it lends itself well to teaching because it makes me go slower to teach. But when you sing it, you don't have to hold them out as long. So you can cater to the needs of your own voice. So yeah, so if I'm holding a long note, you can just, so Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya, you can just say Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya. You can make everything a little shorter. Or Twameva, like you could just be Twameva Mata Chapita instead of the long drawn out. So just something to consider. And then just in terms of the voice cracking and taking care of your vocal cords, usually the voice cracks more when we're dehydrated, because hydration in our body goes to the vital organs first. And so if we're not drinking enough pure water, our vocal cords are one of the first things that are affected negatively because they're not it's not an organ that keeps you alive. So hydrate is one of the keys that singers use. Like they're just constantly drinking water. And then there's also, once the foundation of hydration is set, then you can also think about other things like licorice teas and things that are slippery elm and different herbs that are really soothing, or anise and menthol drops and things that just like help soothe the throat. So I hope that helps. And then Anne Catherine asked, does this chant, I think this was probably the first one we did, but does this chant have an effect on our surrounding, on the people we're connected with? Do these chants have a healing effect on the plant world or negatively affected grounds? Oh, the plant world or / negatively affected grounds also. So yeah, these prayers, and I could answer that from not just the one chant you may have been asking, but now from all three, is that especially the Sanskrit language, these prayers have send a beneficial vibration out. So you can sing them to plants. It feeds your prana. It feeds prana through the sound vibration. So yes, it does uplift and positively impact wherever you are and your surroundings. And I'd say that's not a primary intention, but like you're not trying, because there's a way that you can use mantras for your own personal gain and benefit, which is to have control over environments and power and, be powerful. But that's not the intention. That's not a pure intention. So in general, you don't need to try to do that. I'm just saying that that's kind of a tangent on your question, but you don't need to try to do that to heal or help the surroundings, but it will be a secondary benefit, because anytime we're invoking the divine in a place, it helps the whole remember. But also remember that even just inherently in that thinking, is something I'm doing, creating benefit here. It's like, yes, and it's actually just reminding us what's already here. So it's reminding us that the perfection is already here. It's not something that I'm doing to make it more uplifted and bring the whole vibration up. It's actually just remembering that it's perfect just as it is. So in that remembrance is really the most powerful piece. Hope that makes sense. Okay, great. Those are all the questions from earlier. And then just going down. Kaylee asked, how much water is best? So this is going to be this is a non-Ayurvedic thing, but it's still a good foundation to start, because every body type needs a little bit more. So, but in general, Vatas need more water. Pittas are the middle amount of water, and Kapha body types need the least amount of water because they tend to retain water. They already have a lot of water. But generally speaking, half of your body weight in ounces, meaning half of your body weight in pounds. So if you're 100 pounds, then 50 ounces of water should be taken a day. Does that make sense? Half of your body weight in ounces. So you might have to do a calculation if you're in kilos, but yeah, a 100-pound person should drink 50 ounces of water a day. A 200-pound person should drink 100 ounces of water a day. And that's the basic. So maybe that would apply to a Pitta person, but a Kapha person can drink less, and a Vata person might need to drink more. If you drink coffee and take diuretics of any kind, then you would need to drink more water to offset the drying effects. So, but in general, I hope that helps answer your water question. Julia said, very helpful. Thank you, Alicia. I guess there's also a connection with a blockage in my throat chakra, but I guess chanting in general could be very useful to solve it. Yes, absolutely. Chanting is, especially Sanskrit, that vibration is very, very healing to the throat chakra, and is very gentle in how it helps that energy open and move. And the practice that we did, the humming breath and the Hari Om chant, those are both really, really good for the throat chakra. And if you watch previous recordings of some of those videos, I talk about some variations that you can do to help the throat. But for now, just consider the practices that we did at the beginning of class today. And then also these chanting practices will be very helpful. And then Anne Catherine said, I would love to understand the connection between sound vibration and the increase of prana. Are there any sources to that? So, so we all have, let me see, how do I answer this? Chanting doesn't necessarily increase your prana. We all have a certain allotment of prana. So think of like, we just have a certain allotment of prana in our body. And what chanting does in those vibrations help, prana needs to be in motion. It needs to be moving and flowing fluidly through all the subtle energy channels in the body. So it's not that necessarily that chanting increases your prana. It helps it move and permeate into the areas that it needs to go. Stagnant areas, it helps open, and it helps merge your pranic field. It helps remove blockages between your pranic field and the divine field. It helps lift those veils so that you can just receive more. So it helps really release constrictions. I don't have any particular resources for you other than just that reflection. Blessings, Rashi, sweet dreams. I'm so glad that we lullabied you to sleep. Good night. And if there are no other questions, we'll wrap up for today. Our next live session is going to be 2 weeks from today. I sent that out in the email, one of the emails. It might be in the automated email, and I'll put it in the next email with the recordings. Okay, friends, thank you so much. Lots of love to you. Lots of love to you all. Thanks for being here. Corey, thanks for being here. Everybody, it was super, super sweet to have you and to sing with you, even if virtually. So one more deep breath and Om Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Thank you, Mehar. Thank you, Anne, Catherine. Love and blessings. Bye. See you next time.